Hello and welcome to another episode of the Elite Smart Athletes in the Athlete Talk series. Today we're going to be talking to Daniel Ajuka. He is a professional basketball player. He's played in Spain, Italy, Sweden, so he's got a bit of experience at the professional level. But he got there by playing in Loughborough men's third team. So we kind of look into his journey, how he went from playing men's third team basketball in the UK university system through to playing as a professional. He also runs a brand called the Work Rate Movement, which is all about the manifestation of work. So we talk a little bit about how he does that on the side of playing. But it was more of a discussion of just how he went about getting himself from being a kid who just played a range of different sports, focusing in on basketball, how he balanced his academics and his basketball, and then going on to make it as a pro. I'm hoping that this conversation can just give some pointers to anyone who maybe is yet to achieve their goals as a basketball player, and understand that even if you are suffering setbacks right now, there are many setbacks to set you up for a greater comeback. So stay positive. Daniel's done it, so you can do it too. Before we get into the video, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Let me know that I'm making content that you guys like. Hit the like button so I also know that. And leave a comment if you want to discuss anything with me. You can hit me up on Instagram or Twitter at Elite Smart Athletes. I'll be down to have a conversation with you. But otherwise, let's get into it.
So, Daniel, welcome. Thank you for talking to me today. Just tell me a little bit about yourself. Who is Daniel Ajuka?
Well, Daniel Ajuka, who am I? So I'm from London. I was born in London, raised in London. Born in North London, actually, in Barnet. 1 year old, moved to South London. My parents are originally from Nigeria. My dad is Igbo. My mum is Ijo. And yeah, I've got one sister who is 14 at the moment. She'll be 15 in November. And interesting fact about me, I was born with 6 fingers on each hand.
Okay.
So I haven't really told a lot of people that. I was born with 6 fingers on each hand.
Wow. Okay, I didn't know that. Maybe that's why you got the handles unlocked.
Honestly.
No, that's crazy. All right. And so growing up, obviously in London, UK, what sports did you do growing up, like throughout school time?
So I was that energetic kid. I was always moving. I was very fast, very agile for my size. I was involved with a lot of sports, and every sport that was presented to me. I played football mostly, cricket, did athletics. I did baseball, rugby, a little bit of NFL. I just did a wide range of sports, really. I was all over the place. I played basketball, but I wasn't serious at the time. I was just fucking around, really. I was just all over the place, I guess.
Were you just doing it was it that you found all sports fun, or were there any that you were particularly good at, that you're pursuing more than others?
So I would say during the early stages of my childhood, from like 5 years old to 11 years old, I was very much keen on football and athletics. Between the ages of 5 to 8, it was more so football. I wanted to be the next Cristiano Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, you name it. Those are kind of my two idols. So Ronaldinho was my favorite football player, and he was my idol. I had a picture of him on my wall, and then as he walked further into my room, I had a picture of Cristiano Ronaldo. Those are the two I kind of idolized. I just loved their step overs, the way they would just make a fool of their defender. So football was kind of like my first true love. And then over the years into secondary school, athletics was more a sport that I wanted to excel in. But I figured out that it was more based on genetics and how fast or how strong your genetics were. And I kind of gave that up later on.
Okay, that's interesting. Same as me, like I was definitely football first. My idols were Thierry Henry and Ronaldo, Brazilian Ronaldo. That was my
Jeez.
I was looking at
I love Ronaldo. The finger wag always had me, bro. Every time he scored a goal, I used to copy that, bro.
Yeah. But yeah, no, same for me, man, growing up. So like when it comes to sports as well. Obviously, you said you're energetic as a kid. Like, would you just say you were naturally gifted, or did you work hard from a young age, or was it a bit of both? Like, how would you describe like how you became kind of like decent at sports as a kid, at least?
So a lot of people said I was gifted. Looking back now, I don't think I was gifted. It was just mainly my speed that used to carry me. So if I was playing baseball, I wasn't really great at, well, I could hit the ball. I couldn't hit it very far, but the mere fact that I could outrun most of the guys in my school, it made me excel in baseball, for example. Rugby as well, I wasn't technically great at rugby. Didn't really understand the positioning as well, but I played winger during my secondary school time, and all you had to do as a winger in year 7 was just run. No one really tackled in year 7, so that's all I did, so run. So yeah, I would say my speed was kind of the foundation to all my sports. Sports that didn't really involve speed, I wasn't that great at, although table tennis and tennis, there were 2 sports that I also played and I also excelled at. So yeah, I don't think I was gifted per se. Hardworking, I don't think I was hardworking as well. I was a mother's boy. I love my mum. I would say I was a little bit, what was that term? I was a little bit spoiled as a child. So yeah, I wasn't really that much, wasn't a great hard worker.
Yeah, I can feel you on that. I feel like I wasn't gifted, like as a small kid anyway. Like, obviously I was a little bit taller than other kids, so I had an edge. But then once things started getting a bit hard for me, like I wasn't trying to push through that. I didn't understand it, like, as a kid.
Yeah.
Very that was me. All right, so then obviously, you know, we're both hoopers now. So at what point was it that you decided to take basketball seriously, essentially?
Yeah, so it was during my secondary school career. Football wasn't working out for me. Athletics, there were so many people faster than me, and it was really disheartening for me to continue with athletics. I loved sprinting. I loved doing 100 meters, 200 meters. I didn't really want to branch out of those 2 events. So I was just really struggling, and I knew that sport was something I wanted to do, or I was going to do in the future, but I just didn't know which sport it was. In the classroom, I was very fidgety, very energetic. Didn't really like paying attention. I was the class clown. So again, I'm not encouraging young kids to be class clowns. Please do focus on your books and whatnot, and try to focus. But for me personally, I just didn't enjoy focusing in class. So I knew I was going to play sports in the future, but I just didn't know which sport it was. So it was in year 9, April or May, June, one of those 3 months, out of those 2 months. A particular PE lesson, we were playing basketball. I was ripping up everyone, doing behind the back passes, crossing people over. And my PE teacher wrote in his diary, teachers write in their diary after every single lesson, just some notes. And he wrote, Whitgift, which is the school I went to, watch out for this. So I saw it. Usually I don't look at the teacher's notes. I can't be asked, but I just saw that note. I was like, oh, okay, maybe basketball is the thing that, I could be doing. So friends started to recommend me to join the basketball team after that lesson. I was saying, yeah, you're good, you should try out for the basketball team. So, but I mean, I sucked. So this was before we broke up for the school summer holidays. I was terrible at training. People were laughing at me, airballing layup, airballing shots, you name it. But there was a passion that was stirring within me. And that summer, I was just every day just working on my handles, my shots in the garden, the ballpark. I came back, first training session back, year 10, I was a different beast. So yeah, that was kind of like, I then realised, okay, this is something that could grow and I could excel at later on. So yeah, I just stopped with basketball ever since then.
Okay, that's great. I kind of want to delve into that a bit further. So like, I hear a lot of people say like they have that one summer where either it was they grew or whatever, or they just went hard. So like, when you were like okay, this summer I'm gonna put in work? Like, what was your mindset towards your training? What was your process? How did you schedule it? Like, just go into a bit more detail into what happened that summer particularly.
So, as a child, I didn't really know how to work hard. I just knew how to enjoy myself because, again, my childhood, I feel like I was quite spoiled. So, I was also very extroverted at the time when it came to sport. So, I made a lot of friends playing sport and in the sporting environment. So, I remember running into a friend called Brian at the time. He played basketball for the England under-18 squad. And I was training with him on, I think he was coaching one session. And we're walking back home. He lives near me. We're walking back home after the training session, and he referred me to a YouTube video by Eric Thomas. So I didn't really know who Eric Thomas was, but he was like, oh, he's a motivational speaker. He will help you with your basketball, with your mentality and whatnot. So I said, okay, let me go on YouTube and search him up, do all that. So I remember the video, if you want to be successful, as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. I watched that video and it literally changed my mind, changed my mindset. I was like, okay, if I really want to be a basketball player, at the time I wanted to be in the NBA, if I really wanted to go to and make it into the NBA, I've got to really dedicate my life to this grind, dedicate my life to basketball. So after watching that video, I watched it again and again and again, to the point where every single day I'll probably watch that video 5 to 10 times a day. And I got so obsessive with that video that even if you just played 5 seconds of that video, I'll be able to finish off a sentence from that video, and I could recite the video from memory, from beginning to the end. So that's how obsessive I got with that video, and it really just changed my mind, changed my mindset. I was training differently every single day. I was putting in 100% effort. So yeah, I guess that period was the time where my mentality changed from being a lazy boy to a hard-working boy.
I love that you mentioned that video because we're about the same age, right? You're about 24?
Yeah, I'm 22.
You're 22, okay, yeah. I'm a couple of years older than you, but yeah, it was probably around maybe a year before you went. That was when I came across the video as well. And I used to watch that at least once a day. I used to watch it in my house. We got to pray before I go to school. But before we were praying, I was watching that video. So obviously you mentioned that you might have been a bit energetic in the classroom and a bit of a class clown at times. But you know, you've made this mental switch now in your mind where you're doing hard work. Did that translate over to the classroom for you as well? And how did you balance like chasing your basketball dream and your schoolwork?
No, it didn't. Funny enough, you would think my whole life would change just for basketball. My life changed, but in terms of outside of basketball, I was still that joker, still cracking jokes. I didn't really take academics seriously. It was only until I started watching documentaries of high school basketball players and college basketball players and how they took their education seriously. It was like, okay, then now I need to start focusing on my academics. But it was never an obsession with academics. I knew I needed academics to excel in life and to help me get towards my dreams, but I didn't really take it that seriously as much as I did with basketball. So.
Yeah, okay. So then how did you end up studying at, so you went to Loughborough, and Loughborough is a very good sporting university, but it's also a very good academic university. How did you end up going to Loughborough, especially with the hoop dreams? We all know there's the options probably to go to the States for a lot of people, even if it's just for high school. Like a lot of guys could probably go and play high school or JUCO or prep school before even hitting that Div 2, Div 1 level. So how did you end up going that way instead of like, let's say, a different, more hoops focused way?
So fast forward into my sixth form years, beginning of sixth form, I never planned on going to a British university. Like staying in the UK was failure for me. It was like I idolized America, watched NBA, watched college basketball, watched all the hoop mixtape ballers live, seeing all those like Marcus Levert, Seventh Woods, all those guys. You're going, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Watching all those guys on hoop mixtape ballers live, I was like, no, I gotta get out there, man, and go and play these guys because I was really competitive. And with basketball, it was so bad. Like I would lose friends because of a scrimmage. So yeah. So those guys over there, me watching them on YouTube, I'm like, yo, I'm better than Seventh Woods. This was my mindset. I'm better than Marcus Levert. I can guard these guys. Get me out there. So I was obsessed with going to America. So my first year, I went to a basketball academy called Harris Academy, Beckenham.
Okay, yeah.
They had the likes of Roel Graham, graduated from there, Terrence Muster, graduated from there, Dwayne Camille, these top ballers now, Roel playing in Spain, Terrence playing in the Philippines.
Yeah, Cavell, obviously.
Cavell went to Harris Academy.
Yep.
He's now in the G League.
Yep.
So they had all these top players, and it was near where I live. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go there, and that's my way out. That's my ticket out. So my first year, I was emailing a load of D2 schools, a load of D3 schools, JUCO schools, D1 schools. Got a few responses, but there was no kind of like certified scholarship they could give me. Hence, I couldn't really go there because they were asking for like 20 grand a year. And I was asking my friends, okay, can you put up at least 10 grand or something like that? Nope, we're not putting anything up more than 5 grand. Like, you have to do this on a scholarship. We're not gonna do this, we're not gonna pay any more money, basically. First year, emailing, didn't really get a serious offer. Second year, emailing, started hitting up Canadian schools, again, D3, D2, D1 schools, JUCO schools. I mean, it got so bad, I was sending, so first year I sent like 400 emails. Second year, I sent another 400 to 500 emails, just emailing them my stats, highlights. I was playing in the EABL at the time, and I didn't really get any offers, and it was heartbreaking, real heartbreaking. So Loughborough was kind of like my backup option. I was like, okay, if all else fails, which I pray to God it doesn't, I'll go to Loughborough. So Loughborough was my backup option. Also Plymouth University was my backup option. So that didn't work out, me getting into American school or Canadian school. So I ended up getting into Loughborough by the skin of my teeth because it was really affecting my education. Me just emailing schools and training and being obsessed with getting into American school. So got into Loughborough. I had emailed the coach 2 months before, telling him I'm going to be there at a trial, a basketball trial. I want to play for your first team, hopefully for Leicester Riders too. Just showing my portfolio with him. Didn't get a response, so I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to go show out. I'm at Loughborough, so that's how I got to Loughborough.
Okay. Like I understand that struggle of like for me it was if I wasn't at Duke University then I failed myself.
Same here, man.
Yeah.
Same here, man. No, I was gonna say, like, back then playing in the BBL, it was like, yo, you wanna play the BBL? What? You know what I mean? Like, I remember being in sixth form, and someone asked me, "Oh, do you want to play in the BBL?" I was like, "No." Like, their stars are catching my bus. Like, I don't want to play in the BBL. There's no money there. But I was so like, I didn't know. I didn't watch the BBL at all. I didn't know much about the BBL. I didn't even know much about the D1, D2, D3 system. So I didn't really know how good the players were in the BBL. Hence, I feel like at that age I was blinded by what I saw on YouTube and things on the NBA and stuff like that. And I felt like that's where a lot of kids go wrong. They watch NBA basketball, they watch high school basketball, and they think, oh, that's basketball. But that's more entertainment basketball. It's not real basketball. The real basketball is in Europe, in your country, in the UK. But yeah.
Yeah, man, I agree. Really well said, man. So obviously, yeah, you went to Loughborough, emailed the coach, no response, and you've done trials now. What happened next? Like, obviously, is like the aim was to play first team and potentially BBL. How did it go from there, and how did you navigate uni ball, Bucks? For those who haven't heard, it's Bucks basketball. How did you navigate that?
So my time at Loughborough, my first year was challenging, honestly. It was a huge shock to the system. I didn't expect it. Before I had left for Loughborough, I remember my friends telling me, Hafiz actually, who played at Charnwood College, he now plays professional in Italy. He was telling me, yo, you're going to be playing second team. You might even play third team. And I was like, wait, what? Like Bucks second team, Bucks third team, that's never me. You know, I've been training with Rowell, Cavell, Terrence, all those top guys, legend, and you're telling me I'm going to play second team, third team at Loughborough. So I didn't really understand what he meant by that. So the trials, the first day, by the way, during freshers, I didn't go out for freshers, I didn't drink, I didn't do nothing. I was on the basketball court, literally 4 to 6 hours a day, just training, just getting ready for this trial day. So that's just to tell you the intensity I was bringing on trial day. So first day, you have a lot of walk-ins coming in, people that just want to join the basketball team, but they don't really play basketball, walking in, coming in. So that first day, I remember there were so many people, so it was kind of like a 3-on-3 on 4 courts, but it was half court, because there were so many people, and the waiting time was ridiculous. So after our stretches, we got into the games, waiting for 4 or 5 minutes, just seeing these guys just shooting air balls at there. I was like, once I come on this court, people will know who I am. And that's exactly what happened. A lot of the AU team members, so the players that played on the team were on the sideline watching. And I was just killing, blocking, breaking ankles. I mean, guys were leaving after they had played us because they just gave up hope. So that's how bad it was. So I was only there for like 30 minutes. The trial time or the trials were for 2 hours. 30 minutes I already gotten into the second stage. So I went home, was on my stretching, second day comes, and I'm like, okay, this is the day I get into the first team. The first team had their practice, I'm watching the practice, and I'm like, yo, I can take it, guys. However, it didn't happen. Although I killed second day, I was real prepared. People knew who I was. I made a lot of friends. People were like, yeah, this guy, you're a cool guy, man. Where you from? I said, London, And I heard a lot about the politics of things. And I was a little bit discouraged at the time, but I was like, you know what, let me just push. So, but I didn't get in. They put me as a 13 player. So, a member of the 13. It was kind of like, yo, I had killed all these people. I had lined them up. I had gone through everyone, and you're just going to put me in the 13. So that was probably the most low I felt in terms of emotions. I felt so low. In fact, I gave up basketball because the third team is just guys that were just unserious about basketball. I mean, they were sort of skilled, but they were not looking to go further with basketball. The motivation levels in training was just low. We were training twice a week. So I'm coming from an organisation that we're training every day, like some days twice a day. And these guys were training twice a week. And sometimes they'll be coming in with beer bottles to practice and whatnot. So it was a real shock to the system. It was like, yo, what? So so I totally threw basketball way out of my mind for 2 weeks, but then it was like, you know what, I'm only playing basketball because I loved it. So I just had to kind of strategize and see how I could still play full time. Which is what I did.
Okay, yeah. So graduation time now. You're still focused on playing pro. How did you do that? How did you make your step from Loughborough third team to professional basketball player?
So my first year, third team, I didn't really play well because my mind was all over the place. So second year, I managed to get into the second team, but I was injured. I had a groin issue. So like that, the first half of my second year in the second team, I was off the bench, and in fact, I got even demoted back to the third team. So it was literally up and down moment. And it was only the second half of my second year where I started to excel and go off. So third year comes, and I'm prepared. I do well in the trials, but the coach, for some reason, we don't get along. I personally don't think it was my fault, but that's another story. So I ended up playing D4 NBL in the at the time. I don't think there's a D4 anymore.
No.
I ended up playing D4 with Charnwood College. So, but the best thing about that was I could get my game tape because they weren't filming the games for Bucks, but they were filming the games for the NBL.
Okay.
So, got my game tape filmed, all my games, my full games, got a highlight tape prepared, and then I just started sending it out to different agents. And the good thing about me was I was turning up to the scrimmages, all the scrimmages that I've heard of. So the summer scrimmages that were happening in the UK, in London, I'll turn up and a lot of pros will be there. I'll go up against them. Sometimes I'll fight them, but afterwards we'll become friends, and I'll just connect with them really. So, and that's how I was able to get agents, agents' numbers, agents' contact details. So through those connections, I was able to get out and go to Italy.
Okay, man, that's the key there that I think maybe a lot of people don't know. Like, you've got to put yourself in the position, essentially, get to the spot, and then things will happen.
Yeah.
Okay, and then do you have any like just pointers on like what was it like playing in Italy at a professional level? The highs and lows of it, the struggles. Any tips on that to share?
Yeah, playing professional basketball was very different. Very, very different, especially if you've been a student athlete before, or you've played NBL before amateur basketball. You're playing for money, so there's stress that comes with that. But no, it is an enjoyable experience. I won't say it's for everybody though, to go out and play abroad. Everyone's experience is different when you go out to play abroad, so I can't really tell you what it's like. Everyone's experience is different. So my experience playing in Italy, the organisation, it was an okay organisation. I mean, in fact, no, it wasn't okay. It was a bad organisation. Although they paid on time and whatnot, but most of my teammates were between the ages of 18 to 20. And going into some games, we'll be playing against well-experienced players. They were going through a rebuilding phase, so they could only afford 2 internationals, and the rest weren't getting paid. So that was the reality of the situation. Some games we'll be getting battered by 40 points, but it wasn't our fault. I mean, we just had a very, very bad side. So that was kind of like my experience. Again, frustrations with training as well. I felt like they weren't putting enough investment into our training session. So, but as a whole, it was a great experience. But again, the professional experience is very, very different to the amateur experience. And you've got to have a certain level of maturity to get to that stage. Like, it's not something that you just walk into with the current mindset you have. You've got to be able to mature, learn or understand what it means to be a professional basketballer and to be professional. Because they can throw you out for childish nonsense. So yeah.
Okay, no, that's great. I hope someone watching this really takes note of that, because that's important. Man, that's a real gems. I felt like I was learning just then. Okay, so obviously I know you a bit better than everyone else watching this. So I know you've got your brand, the Work Rate Movement. Can you explain a little bit about that and how that came about, essentially?
So Work Rate came about second year of university with a friend of mine called Dave Creates, who's a music artist.
His music in my videos, just for anyone watching this. So
yeah. Dave Creates is the guy. Great music artist. So we were housemates. We were good friends. He's one of my best friends, and we have similar stories. So he picked up music during university and wanted to go full-time into music, and we always used to have this saying, put in the work rate. We used to watch a lot of American high school documentaries, and that's what a lot of these trainers would say, you got to put in the work. So we just used to copy what they say and say it in real life. So me, him, another one of my friends called Jeremiah, who's a professional football player. We used to do ridiculous things like go on 12 a.m. runs, 2 a.m. runs, work out at 5 o'clock in the morning. Just little things to kind of develop ourselves and put in the work really to get to where we want to, or where we are now. So that kind of saying came out of those situations, and yeah, it was just so I was in Spain last year and I was bored in my room. I said, okay, you know what, I want to wear something for my warm-ups. So that's where the idea came, to put work rate onto a shirt. And then I was like, okay, you might as well just make this into a business. So ever since then, it's just grown from that idea.
Okay, man, I wish I was in that house, man. That sounds like it would have been wavy. But yeah, no, that's good, man. That's good. I'm glad that you found something outside of just hooping as well. Like, there's another thing, another feather. What's the phrase? Another feather to your bow, another string to your bow. Yeah, that's good. My last question for you is what's next for you? Because obviously you've got your brand, you hoop. Obviously, there's the whole Corona situation. But what's next for you in the near future?
Next for me, so hopefully exciting things, man. I've got my professional basketball career. I'm still training, still working hard. So, and that's still my goal, to play in the NBA and obviously across the world. So hopefully opportunities arise from there. So yeah, professional basketball. Also with my brand, work rate brand, we're looking to move more into just different media avenues, such as we've just started YouTube, just started blogging. Also looking to have more podcasts and stuff like that. So, I mean, with the work rate brand, every single day we're just looking at new opportunities we can take advantage of. So those are kind of like the two main things that are coming up. Yeah, everything else is just on a daily basis grind.
All right. Well, I pray the best for you. Obviously, we'll be in touch. But yeah, thank you for just coming on and talking. And man, looking forward to just putting in my work rate, seeing where it goes.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
All right, thanks, bro.
If you like this video, just give it a thumbs up, comment, share, and of course follow us on all of our social media platforms. Until next time, stay blessed.
We put in the work rate, high on the wave, out here counting the ways. Me and my dogs gonna get paid. Came from the minimum wage, now we all know the stage. Yeah.